Hello everyone, I am Sujay Datta. I am a IIT KGP alumnus and I have been mentoring students for different tests and I also am involved in career counseling. So in this video, what I'll be doing is kind of looking at post-college readiness for primarily the job market. Okay, so you must have seen like lot of news articles have come up recently saying that around like 50-51% of the graduates that are there in India, only 51% are employable. Now that is kind of shocking, right? So like after doing school and then college, then your bachelor's degrees and all, and then you see that there's only 51% who are eligible rather for getting jobs. That's what the industry feedback says. So in this video, what I'll be looking at is different aspects or different ways we can improve upon that and what students can do as well as what the college can do so that together they can have the employability of the students improve. Okay. So let us look at first what we mean by the college readiness thing. So what are the aspects? Okay. So these are the things which are important. So profiling and career planning. So being able to take psychometric tests, subject analysis, like for example, whichever course studies you have done. So if it's commerce, then commerce subjects. If it is engineering, then it's engineering subjects. Okay, if it's arts, then that. So whatever subjects you have studied, you should have a thorough knowledge. Okay. At the same time, if you are applying for a job in coding, then you are expected to know a bit of coding as well. So that's the subject knowledge and communication skills and one-on-one counseling. So one-on-one counseling is what I'm talking about is where the teachers in the institute or in the college, they sit with the candidates and suggest ways in which they can improve. Okay, so could be on a variety of ways. So they could be improving on their subject knowledge, they could improve on their communication skills. So they could be suggesting what sort of jobs they should look at. They could also suggest whether they at all should be looking at jobs or based on their student profile, they might be better off going into higher studies, maybe MBA, maybe masters, maybe MS programs abroad. So that counseling is very important. Also, at the same time, the students have to also focus on the communication skills. So if you have a lot of knowledge, but then you cannot express yourself and you cannot prove your point or put your point across to the person across the table, then the entire point is lost, right? So communication skills is vital. Uh, Even now, while getting a job, and even if in higher studies, even while getting promotions everywhere. Okay. Now, for your profile improvement, what all things you can look at? So this is basically just the like points. I'll just elaborate on that in the next few slides. So profile improvement, what do we mean by that? So improving your CV. So most people, most students don't even know how to write a proper CV, and like they need to be taught. Okay, so has to be someone from the industry who knows that this is the proper format of his CV. This is how it should be presented with the application tracking system nowadays, which is like the CVs are mostly read by computers and programs, right? Softwares, AI tools, basically. So you should know how to present yourself in the CV in such a way that it is not rejected immediately. So choice of keywords is important and other things. Along with that, internship opportunities. So while doing your bachelor's programs, you must have got chances to get into internships. So you must have done some valid or proper internship work. It should not have been just something which is not relevant to the present industry. So internship opportunities, even sometimes NGO work also NGO assignments are also important to show the social awareness of the students. Okay, you can get into certification courses. There are lots of certification courses. Coursera is like something which comes on the top of the mind. So those things are important. During job applications, a few other things like the statement of purpose. So like why you are looking for a particular job. Okay, so those kind of answers. Okay, why do you want to apply to this company? Okay, why don't you get into higher studies? So how to answer these questions properly? So interview skills, then how to appear in a GD, okay, the group discussion skills. So those things are important. So these are all elimination techniques, right? Which companies use. Even in higher study programs, there are such scenarios. So they use to eliminate students. So if someone who cannot speak a single line coherently in a proper manner in a GD, then that person has is not selected. Is not going to be selected in the next round. And the last part, but not the least, is the test preparations. The test preparation means the aptitude test, the recruitment test preparation. So almost all companies have this aptitude test. It's not only technical knowledge skills, but it also is being able to solve basic questions on arithmetic and algebra, then data analytics, analysis, like data interpretation, being able to interpret graphs and charts and all, basic verbal awareness, knowledge. Okay, so being able to do reading comprehension, these things are tested. So this is a complete package. So this entire thing has to be ready. So if you are lacking in any one aspect or a couple of aspects, so whenever you are joining college, you should start working on it immediately along with your course curriculum. You cannot leave it till the end because then it would be too late. Another very important part, which is not mentioned here, is general knowledge or current affair knowledge. So, if you are appearing for an interview of a software company and you are not aware of any information or any news that is there regarding that company, and such a question comes up, it shows a lack of interest while in your application. So that would be actually a negative feedback. So that would give you a negative uh, profile. So kind of thing. So you must be aware of such things when you are appearing for an interview. So what I was talking about the student initiative. So what are things students can do? So let's first focus on that. So irrespective of whether you are going in for job applications or for higher studies, so you must have relevant core skills. So if you are into coding or software, so for example, so coding skills like Python, then Java, cloud computing skills, okay, so web development, database management, these things are some things are like which are very commonplace. Now most students are expected to know, if not in great detail, at least on a very basic level, at least they should know everything so that when the company, when you join and they have to train you, you are already one step ahead. Recently, you might have heard of the news in Infosys, like a lot of people were sacked because they could not clear the written tests, which was like the post-training test. So if you are already one step ahead with these things which you already know, then it would also help you. So in those tests as well. Along with that, if you want to get any certification courses or any online courses, so like you can have lots of such cases, like Coursera is one. You have MIT Professional Education is one. So they have lots of core programs as well as software related programs as well. You have artificial intelligence courses as well. Okay, so all those courses are important. And given that it is now like everyone is getting into AI a lot, so you should have some knowledge of what is AI, some basic idea. So that's where Python also comes in. You can also use the coding language R for the same. So some knowledge of all of these would give you or portray a feeling that the candidate is interested and has taken pains to do something beyond the course curriculum. The next one is the aptitude training and mock test. So, which I said, like aptitude training should start in the from the very beginning. You can't leave it till the last year or so. So it's very easy. Basically, you just it's lots of aptitudes materials are available online, as well as you can purchase books and stuff. So you start working on your aptitude. So it could basically, aptitude refers to being able to solve questions on arithmetic, percentages, ratios, being able to extract information from graphs and bar charts and stuff. So you practice, keep practicing, and keep taking mock tests. So let's say from the second year, the first year itself, you start working on mock tests. So improve your test taking skills basically. And where will you get questions? So it's very easy. Like you get into those CAT papers, past year CAT papers or ZAT papers. So that would be a good source. Okay. Then, as I was talking about the CV part, that the application tracking system. So I'll discuss in more detail what it should entail. But just for the sake of it, so the CV is like you should use proper keywords. So since it's a software-based searching system, so it will track certain keywords related to the job. So let's say you're applying for a particular job X, and that job uh, requires certain skills. Okay, so it will have a job description as well. So there they will use certain terms or certain keywords. You have to somehow manage to get those keywords used in your CV. Just like it's very similar to ranking of a web page. So like Google ranks web page based on keywords, right? So the more related keywords are there, it gets higher rank. So it's kind of similar. So it's like your web page. Okay. So you use proper keywords, get your rank CV rank higher. So that is not eliminated in the very first round itself. Okay. Do not use generic CVs for every job application. So if you are applying to jobs XYZ, they would have different job descriptions. So your CV should be modified and adjusted according to the job requirement. You should also have experience in writing cover letters. Sometimes a lot of institutes would require cover letters as well. So make sure that you know how to write both and you understand the basic differences between both of them. Regarding the ATS friendly CV, what all things you have to keep in mind, okay, while writing that CV. So don't make it complicated, keep it simple. That's a basic advice, okay? So use standard formatting. So don't use fancy fonts, don't use lots of paragraphs and you you use lots of underlining and then highlighting and then all that. So avoid those things. Okay. So use standard formatting. Avoid images and graphics because the ATS will not be able to read those images or graphs. Okay. You use preferred fonts like Arial, Calibri. Okay. Anything standard which is used most commonly because if you use fancy fonts, then again the machine might not be able to read the data. Label sections clearly. So it should not come out as a jumbled up thing. So you must have separate sections for professional experience. You must have separate sections for education and so on. Separate sections for hobbies, okay, extracurriculars, etc. Uh, and all other things. You use reverse chronological format. So start with the most recent activity, most recent thing that you are doing for each section, and then go back. Okay, don't make it too long. So I mean, don't make a CV which is like 5 pages long. Okay. Don't write each and every information. Like for example, you have done something in the fifth standard, so it doesn't really make sense. Okay. So keep it short, keep it simple, because after the ATS, if someone human has to read that and finds that there's a 4 page long or a 3 page CV, then he or she would not be too impressed. So make it short because they have to sample hundreds and thousands of CVs every day, right? So don't make it too long. Mention dates clearly in months and years. So don't use 1/4 to 2025 or 1/4 2023 because then we will not understand is it the 1st of April or is it the 4th of January because different companies might follow different ways of understanding month and year, right? So it could be day, month, year, or it could be month, day, year. So better is to spell it out. And as I said, use specific keywords and save it in preferred format is always docx, okay, or the PDF format. So I hope that's some information regarding how your CV should be. And you can download any standard CV format from the internet. It's lots of them are available. As I said, don't make it too fancy. Okay, keep it simple and keep it short. Now, core skills. So, what all things you can do to improve your core skills? So, if you are in manufacturing sector, for example, okay, so you should have industry specific certifications if you can get those. Okay, online courses, MOOCs, this MOOC MOOCs concept is there. You can enroll in those MOOCs and get certification courses as well. Okay, you can have courses on CAD. You can do courses on robotics, manufacturing processes. Okay, quality control, project management, all those things. So get as many such relevant. So if you are interested in staying in the industry in the core sector, so get as many relevant courses that you can done in your 4 years of bachelor's. Okay, so that will help you in your job applications, and try to get into programs which offer certifications. Okay. Next, if you are into IT and programming and coding and all, so then there are lots of coding platforms like Lead Code, then Hacker Rank and all. So they have their own ranking. So if you can get into a good ranking and you can actually showcase that in your CV. So get into doing that. You can write programs in GitHub also. Okay, so those are avenues which you can explore. Now, apart from these core skills, you also need to have some skills about case studies. Often in the like after the in the during the interview process, so there could be an interview round where you will be asked about technical knowledge, but there will be also scenarios where there would be cases presented. So what's a case? So there would be, let's say, some management related or managerial related scenario which is there, and there are certain problems that the company or organization is facing. So, what all things you can figure out, or what all things you can do to sort the problem out. So, it will basically be a group task. So, you as a group has to decide that what has to be done, and then you have to present your points in a sequential manner. So these are the things you will do. Sometimes maybe based on the case, you also have to write an essay regarding that what all things has to be done. So you should know how to tackle case studies. Remember, these will not be actual business case studies. These are actually very long. These are like very short case studies. Decision making will be more like it. So one good place where you can get it is the the Xavier Aptitude Test. The XAT exam has a decision making section. Maybe you can access some of those questions and see how those are like. Case studies would be slightly bigger version of those. Okay. The other thing is like this is very common also nowadays, the concept of guesstimates. So what's guesstimates basically is there would be some common scenarios where some data is missing. So let us say, for example, you want to figure out how many cars are produced by the companies in India every day. So to be able to answer that, it's very easy. Like you can figure out how many cars each company makes annually, just divided by 365. But let us say you don't know how many cars are being manufactured annually. So instead, what information is given is, let's say, how much of raw materials are being used. Okay, so this much of iron is being used. All right, or this much of carbon fibers are being used, or this much of aluminum is being used. Okay, and you know that for every car you need this much of aluminum, or this much of carbon fibers, or this much of iron, whatever. Okay, steel. Okay, not iron but steel rather. So if you know the total steel being purchased or used resource as a resource, and then how much goes for each car, and what percentage is wasted, so then you can from there calculate an approximate value of how many cars are being manufactured. So some data will be given, some data will be missing. You will have to figure out a way by which you can find out the answer. If you think that the answer cannot be determined, you might have to assume some values which which makes sense to you, and then accordingly calculate. What the people in the interview would be checking here is not what the answer you got, but what steps you have taken and what's your logical thinking. So it's basically a way of checking. Both case studies and guesstimates are a way of checking your thought process. So I'm sharing one sample guesstimate here on the next slide. So, for example, they we have to find out how many Ola cars ply on Calcutta roads per day. So, some information is given, as you can see. The population is given, what percentage are drivers that's given. Of that, what percentage drive in the city is given. What's the fleet size? Okay, fleet size does not mean that every car is being driven every day, right? So, what are the different types of cars? Okay, and so on. So, some information is given, and you have to find out what is the number. So, you might say that, okay, this is not enough information there. So, fair enough. You can plug in that missing information and find out what could be an approximate value of the number of cards that is consistent with the given data. You cannot take a data which falsifies this data itself. Okay, so there should not be any contradiction. Now, the regarding the aptitude test content, these are typically the different aspects on which questions are set. So, quantitative ability covers arithmetic, so percentages, ratios, okay, rates, mixtures, averages. Then you have number properties, okay, like remainders, GCD, LCM, factorials, factors, multiples, and all. Then algebra, being able to solve basic linear and quadratic equations, okay, those kind of things. Counting methods like permutation combination, basic ideas of probability, overlapping sets, okay, these are there along with some puzzle type of questions. So, uh, where you have to like solve questions based on, let's say, basic arithmetic operations, okay, and some missing numbers that they have to plug in the missing numbers, or even questions like completing a series, sequence, what's an odd number, or what's the odd one out in this series. And the similar thing can be also in terms of text. So, for example, there are different series of letters there, and you have to decide which of these is the odd one out, or what's the next letter that can come in. uh, there can be diagram based also, so spatial reasoning types of, so diagrams are there, and that there is a slight change in the diagram in every step. So maybe, for example, there's a square and there's a dot, and inside the dot is moving. So how is the dot moving and what is the pattern? Then you use that to figure out the missing diagram. So these sort of questions. Reasoning and data, as I said, like puzzle based questions, seating arrangements, logic, okay, then bar graphs, pie charts, and stuff is very important in the corporate setup. So those things you should be able to handle. Verbal ability, you must be having basic idea of how to comprehend and understand a passage and answer basic questions, and basic language skills as well. These things actually should be taken up from very early stages, like not only after, like when you join college or something. You can actually start working on these things from your high school or lower school levels also. You can search for Tamanna project by the NCRT. So they publish lots of these things, and you can take up these things on a very early level. This, I think they start this in class the sixth or seventh or eighth standards. So that could be actually a starting point. So if you are doing these things on a regular basis from then, so you are already very strong in this. So that is one aspect which is already taken care of. It doesn't matter whether you're sitting for CAT, or you're going abroad for GMAT or the MS programs, so GRE, or you are going in for GATE. GATE also has aptitude nowadays, okay? Or you are going for a job application. So everywhere aptitude is there, okay? So you can start preparing pretty early. So research the test format, what all there is in the test. Practice with sample questions. Is a ample set of software sample questions present on online. Find out what are your strength areas and weaknesses. Focus more on the weak areas, obviously, so that you can improve on them. Take as many practice tests as possible, and take timed practice tests. Obviously, time management is very important. And the best resources are past papers for MBA entrance exams like CAD, SAT, and others. Okay, so that's basically it from the aptitude test point of view. Moving on. So soft skills is very important. So now after, let's say, cracking the interview, the test section, and you are all done, and you have gone in for the interview. So you will be given a variety of questions. Okay, so as I mentioned a few of them earlier as well, why are you looking for a job? So you can't just say like, okay, so everyone is looking for a job, I am also looking for one. You have to justify your present, uh, what do I call it, academic scenario, like how you are placed as a student, and why a job fits in perfectly with the current role, okay, current scenario that you are in. Apart from that, there could be a lot of questions like what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. For example, you can say that your strength, don't mention something like obvious like hardworking. So like everyone knows that you are hardworking. You have cleared the 4 years of graduate bachelor program. Okay, so understandably that you are hardworking. So is everyone else. So give them specific and non-cliche type of strengths. So, for example, you can think of something like you are good in aptitude skills or analytical skills, okay? But you must have sufficient uh, firepower to back it up. So you say that okay, you are good in aptitude, and then they ask you a question and you can't solve it. So then there is no point. So be prepared with a set of strengths, and they might ask you about your weakness. So don't say that okay, I don't basically when they ask you a weakness, what they're actually trying to ask you is what is something which you're not very good at and what all steps you are taking to come out of that. For example, you might say that uh, I am not very good with data analytics, or I'm not very good at data analysis or data interpretation or interpreting data, but I am doing these activities and trying to improve on that. So you should always show that there has been some improvement. Okay, so choose your strengths and weaknesses wisely. Uh, so, for example, there can be other questions about you might be asked to explain a scenario or a situation that you have encountered, which was a tough situation for you, and what all things led to that situation, how you came out of the situation, what was your role, what all actions you took. Okay, so these sort of questions might be there. They might ask you about your team involvement. So, are you comfortable in a team or are you a loner? So, if it comes out that you are kind of a loner, then it becomes difficult for you to get into a team sort of team bound activity. So, because most things are in a corporate, it's all about teams, right? So, you have to somehow come up with a way in which you can portray your team working, team environment skills. Then what problems you have faced, okay, how do you react to criticism, okay, how do you interact with newcomers whom you are not like familiar with, uh, what do you do if someone disagrees, okay. So these sort of questions, you should be ready with them. Start writing them down on a piece of on a copy, in a copy or something, and try reviewing them, showing them to other friends, showing them to your maybe your guides and all, and see what their feedback is, and accordingly keep changing, okay, their according to their feedback. So these are your soft skills part of your interview process. Now, more or less what we discussed till now was about how the students can improve from their point of view. Just before we end, I'll just touch upon what all things a college can undertake, activities that are taken up by colleges. So colleges often follow old curriculum. A lot of places have curriculum which has been or courses which are basically running down from the past 5 6 years and are not at par with what the industry is uh, looking for from the students. So the colleges, I feel, should definitely review their syllabus, review their courses, and either make changes in them, or if that is difficult to do, which is possible because like depends on some logistical issues as well. So what they can do is uh, put additional uh, mini courses. Okay, so maybe it won't relate to their final course degree, but then what they can do is like a small a session, and by taking someone from the industry, and the person delivers a lecture or goes and delivers a series of small lectures, like maybe 5 6 lectures, which forms a small course. Maybe the course can be delivered online as well to make it convenient for students, and then there is a small test on that score or a project on that course, and then the students get some certificate on that basis. So if these things come out from the college itself, so that would make the students more serious about these things, and they would do it more wholeheartedly rather than if it like they have to search themselves and do it. Then internship programs should be meaningful. So as in, like as I said, like it should be related to internship should be related to what is happening in the industry. So and there should be an option where if the internship goes very well, then the student can be directly absorbed in the company where he or she does the internship. So in meaningful internship programs are very important. Special sessions is I already explained. Another way is ex-students who have passed out from that college, they come down to the college or the college gets them back, and then they share how their professional journey has been, what all things they did, what all things they suggest the current students do. Okay, so they help them with the understand the path forward and what all obstacles they may face. You can form student chapters where various projects and other opportunities which are part-time are present in various organizations are presented. For example, there could be a lot of students who are in higher studies uh, uh, doing studies some is in some great institute abroad or maybe in India also, maybe in the same city as well. So the student gives such information that these there are some projects which are happening in that college, and they need people to take up those projects. They need students to take up those projects on a part-time basis. So he spreads the word, and then the students who are studying, they get to know. So they apply, and if selected, then they have a very good exposure to such a project from a top-notch institute. Even in the industry, there can be small projects, okay, which are like non-paid projects, maybe, or maybe paid projects, and someone who is working there in a top role passes on that information to the students of his uh, institute, his or her institute, and they apply and then they get it. So seniors handholding with the present crop of students. So that is something which can also lead to wonderful results. And there are a lot of places where this is happening. And this has turned around the hiring frequency of students across. So these were some of the ideas which I felt like could be implemented from both sides. Uh, do connect with me on LinkedIn. You can scan this QR code and get in touch with me. My name is Sujay Datta. I hope this helped. Thanks for listening and have a great time. Thank you.